Hey guys, so today's video is going to be very different from the usual stuff. I decided, I got King of the Monsters, Godzilla King of the Monsters on DVD because it just came out, and fantastic movie. I don't know if you want to watch it, but I do have a prediction/review of it, where I predicted what would happen a week before I saw it, and then reviewed it and showed how wrong I was with all my predictions. And seeing as how that prediction video went well, and by that I mean it was completely wrong and no one ever watched it, I decided to do, something I wanted to do today. So for those who don't know, Godzilla King of the Monsters is the third installment in Legendary's Monsterverse, an entire cinematic universe of kaiju. Specifically Godzilla, but they branched out to Kong, and because of that, the new film, as King of the Monsters has hinted, and as Kong Skull Island has kind of shown, is going to be Godzilla vs. Kong, which is going to be released March 2020. Now, that's only about 6 months away. I did the math a while ago. I'm not very good at math when I just do it off the top of my head. But it's only a few months away. We haven't gotten a single teaser or trailer or very much word about it outside of certain locations and small things like that. The director and writer we know about. I looked at some of the stuff they did. It's a little worrying. So I thought I'd do some predictions on what may happen in the plot and what the overall response will be to this movie. So yeah, here we go. So first off, I want to say that this movie is not going to kill off Godzilla or Kong. Most likely, it's going to do a Batman v Superman thing, or maybe even Marvel, like Captain America: Civil War. It's going to do a frickin' good guys are going to fight each other for maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, maybe more if they're being gracious. And then all of a sudden, bigger threat comes in. They have to put aside their differences. They have to fight the threat. Possibly, maybe the two of them get gravely wounded or killed by the threat in at the same time as killing the threat, similar to Superman dying to Doomsday. Spoiler alert. I mean, it's several years old. Everyone knows how dumb that movie was. If you haven't seen that movie by now, you don't care. So yeah, first off, my prediction is neither of them are going to get killed or die. My next prediction, they're going to fight a little bit, and then all of a sudden, Mecha King Ghidorah will appear. And the reason why I say that, spoiler alert for King of the Monsters, last and only warning, I'm not going to warn you again. The end credit scene of King of the Monsters shows the main bad guy, the guy from Game of Thrones, the older dude, who says, long live the king in the trailer. It shows that one of the King Ghidorah heads from a previous scene in the movie is on the floor in front of him, and he says, "We have use of this." One of those menacing lines, which is obviously going to be referencing how King Ghidorah is actually going to come back as Mecha King Ghidorah, which is super, super awesome. And that is most likely going to appear in Godzilla vs. Kong, because most likely at the near the ending, halfway point, I don't care. At some point in Godzilla vs. Kong, they're gonna fight. They're gonna have to stop fighting because frickin' Mecha King Ghidorah is gonna show up, and they'll have to fight that. That's gonna be awesome to see Godzilla and Kong tag team him. That's gonna be great because he was already tough against Godzilla, and if it wasn't for Mothra's sacrifice and everything, I don't think that he would have been able to defeat him. So if King and God fought him, it's great. The next thing I kind of predict is I think the majority of the movie is going to take place in Hong Kong. That's kind of a given. It's not really a very good prediction because it's kind of confirmed. We heard that it's going to take place in Hong Kong at some point, but seeing as how I think the location changing isn't going to be as frequent as King of the Monsters, I think that it's going to end up taking place in Hong Kong for the majority of it. Now, sadly, I don't think that the reception is going to be very good. King of the Monsters came out at a terrible time, only a month or two after the release of Endgame, Avengers Endgame, may I clarify. And yeah, it was terrible timing. A summer blockbuster like Avengers Endgame, one of the biggest movies of all time, one that actually broke box office records, competing against the Godzilla movie. The Godzilla movies didn't have a very big fan base in the US in the first place. They made a decent amount of money, but they didn't make nearly enough money that they should have. Godzilla 2014 and Kong Skull Island had made about $500 million, somewhere around there. Kong Skull Island had a slightly larger amount, 500-something million dollars. King of the Monsters only made about $385 million, which I believe the budget was about somewhere $200 million, something like that, which means they only made $100 million extra, which in movie terms is not very good. So Luckily, Godzilla vs. Kong is going to happen because it was already in production. It's already being released, even if it fails, and it's going to release. Hopefully they're not going to like end it with a big cliffhanger type thing, like, oh, I can't wait to see Biolante in the next movie, because I don't think it's going to happen. Sadly, people just don't care. Hopefully, when it releases in March, there's not going to be any major Marvel movies, which there won't. I think Avengers Endgame was really the last major one that's going to come out for a while, and even if, like, let's say the next Captain Marvel movie or Guardians of the Galaxy movie comes out around the same time that this does, I don't think it's going to be nearly as big as, you know, Endgame. So I think this movie's going to make a decent amount of money, but people's response to it is going to be that they're just, people are just going to be bored. They're not going to be interested in it. I think this is going to be possibly the last movie in the Monsterverse, and that's kind of upsetting, but at least the last movie in the Monsterverse is Godzilla vs. Kong, and we may actually get Mecha King Ghidorah in it, so, you know, that's always a plus. But yeah, overall, looking at the response, like, people gave King of the Monsters very low reviews, very few people watched it, it didn't make much money. Going by those responses, Godzilla vs. Kong is probably going to make a decent sum, probably around the same amount as King of the Monsters. I think they're going to make their money back and maybe a little more, just like King of the Monsters, but I don't think they're going to go blockbuster, very good profit. I think this could be the last movie. So overall, I don't think that the reception's going to be very good. People are probably going to critique it very harshly, and hopefully it actually won't be critiqued harshly. Hopefully it'll be the best rated movie in the entire series, but, you know, let's see. But yeah, I'm just super excited for Godzilla vs. Kong. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm pretty sure my predictions this time are going to be pretty... I think they're going to be pretty good. I think these ones are going to be closer than King of the Monsters. I think I was way off with King of the Monsters because we had the trailers, and going by the trailers and past knowledge of the previous movies, I was trying to make assumptions they were going to just, you know, make it closer to those. And I'm kind of glad they didn't, because then it feels like its own thing, but it also has its own problems. That's another video for another time. But yeah, this is just, as you can tell, this is unscripted. I just kind of had the idea to do this, and I thought, you know what, why the hell not? But until that teaser or trailer for Godzilla vs. Kong comes out, I'm not going to make any more predictions. These are the safest ones I can make for the current time being. But yeah, only things I could say are that the director of the movie has directed frickin' a lot of horror movies. He's directed... you know what? Let me pull it up. All right, so the director is Adam Wingard. He has directed such movies as You're Next, The Guest, Death Note, the 2017 Netflix adaptation, The Blair Witch reboot from 2016, VHS 1 and 2, A Horrible Way to Die, The ABCs of Death, and etc. So the majority of his movies have been horror movies, which is odd they chose a director of horror movies to direct a monster fighting movie, unless they're trying to make this more of a horror. I don't think they will, though. Honestly, I was really afraid when I saw that he made the Death Note adaptation, or he directed it, because I love the Death Note anime, and that movie sucks, but visually it's really good. So when I realized it was the director, you know, I kind of have a little more hope. Now, on the other hand, the writer of the movie, the writer of Godzilla vs. Kong, is going to be... Terry Rossio. The screenplay writer is Terry Rossio, or Rossio, however you say it. Now, a lot of you probably don't even know what he, like, none of you really probably know what he's done, unless you're a huge movie watcher and actually pay attention to stuff like that. Well, apparently he's done the screenplays for Pirates of the Caribbean 1 through 5, I believe. The Shrek movie, the original, Lone Ranger, the reboot, the Aladdin from 90s, the Mask of Zorro, El Dorado, Small Soldiers, National Treasure, Treasure Planet, The Legend of Zorro, Little Monsters, The Puppet Masters, and yeah, those are the most, like, those are the biggest things that he's written, which is pretty shocking that he's written that many things. I don't think he was the head writer on it for the screenplay. He was probably a side writer. The thing that's worrying, though, that really scared me when I found out what else he wrote, is he wrote the Godzilla movie from 1998. You know, Matthew Broderick's masterpiece. The movie that pissed off Toho so much that they took the rights from Godzilla away from America and didn't let them adapt any of their Toho movies ever again. Yeah, so that's a little worrying, but then I looked at it and I also noticed there were a lot more screenplay writers. And seeing as how many good things he's written for screenplays, I think that we're safe there. So the description of the movie for now on Google is fearsome monsters Godzilla and King Kong square off in an epic battle for the ages while humanity looks to wipe out both of the creatures and take back the planet once and for all. Which is kind of weird because in King of the Monsters and Godzilla 2014, they kind of had an understanding that Godzilla was the good guy and the other monsters were the bad guys, and he's supposed to keep them in line. So it's just kind of odd that that's the plot of it, but now that I think about it, looking back at some scenes from King of the Monsters, it sounds more like the government is against Godzilla. So my theory for the prediction is that it's not necessarily just humanity, because I think that's too broad of a term. That's really dumb. I think that the plot is going to be Godzilla and Kong are going to fight, but the thing is the government is going to fight them, and Monarch is going to try to protect them and stop the government from killing them, because, we have to keep them alive. Some other little facts, I guess, is Millie Bobby Brown is going to be coming back, reprising her role, along with Kyle Chandler as her father in the movie. They're the only ones that it looks like on the list here are coming back. The other guy, Julian Dennison, who I don't know if you remember him, but he played in the movie Deadpool 2. He played as the kid who had like fire powers or something. He like blew up shit. I don't remember exactly, but he's going to be in it apparently. It doesn't say as who. It doesn't say a lot of the cast who they're playing except the ones that we've already seen them play in. Alexander Skarsgård is going to be in it, who is related to Bill Skarsgård, who I believe Bill Skarsgård is his name. There's so many Skarsgårds. They're like Hemsworths. You just see them everywhere. They're in everything. Either way, I'm really excited for Godzilla vs. Kong. That's really all the information we have, and those are the only predictions I can make right now without seeing the trailer. When the trailer or teaser comes out, I'll probably make a follow-up video to this predicting what it is in more detail with the footage we have. So yeah, that's really all I wanted to say. This is unscripted, so this is why it's really terrible and doesn't sound very good, and it's just coming off my head, obviously. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you have any theories or predictions yourself for the new movie, go down in the comments below and tell me. I would really appreciate it if someone commented, liked, disliked, subscribed. I don't care. Whatever you want, bro. It's all up to you. But yeah, that's all the news, and I hope that here's hoping Godzilla vs. King Kong is going to actually be good.